Jim Dean is on the line with us. He is the what's your title, Jim, with Democracy for America? The chair?
Today it's chair, Tom. How are you?
I'm well. It's always nice to have you on, Jim. democracyforamerica.com is the website, one of the great organizations that I'm constantly encouraging people to go join and participate. I'm curious what's going on with Democracy for America right now.
Well, right now, we're involved in about 74 campaigns. We've been running a great program, as other organizations do, which is helping folks from around the country call voters in key campaigns. And if you want to call from the comfort of your own home, simply go to dfadialer.com, and we are calling into key Senate races and key gubernatorial races. And right now I found myself in La Crosse, Wisconsin. I'm actually had to go outside the office because it's rocking and rolling for Mary Burke, and we're making a ton of calls and sending out a bunch of folks to do doors. So
that's great.
It's all about get out the vote, all about participation.
Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, I believe I saw this article over in the Daily Banter about how the Allison Lundergan Grimes' campaign is suing Mitch McConnell because just a couple of days ago, they mailed this very intimidating thing. This is voter election fraud or something like that, voter violation, election violation on the outside of the envelope to Democratic-leaning voters in that state, in Kentucky. And the efforts to suppress the vote, from that very naked stuff that Mitch McConnell is doing to the voter suppression efforts in states like Texas and Wisconsin and whatnot. What kind of impact is that having on this election?
Well, it's hard to tell here in Wisconsin. I'm frankly really, I think it's pretty disgraceful, not only Mitch McConnell's email, but, the remarks that were made by Joni Ernst in Iowa saying that, your neighbors are going to know if you vote Democrat, as if this was some horrible thing. We need to have a society that encourages voting. I am absolutely thrilled with the work of William Barber in North Carolina and his great organization, as well as the great folks in Georgia who have really been going out and getting folks registered and giving them the tools they need to vote, even in what is a very hostile environment. But the fact of the matter is look, one must take care of politics, or politics will take care of you. That means we need folks out there to vote, and we need to be encouraging. And if you're not encouraging that, if you're a candidate for office, frankly, you're not fit to run for office or hold office. Yeah,
I agree. Motivation strategies are usually two parts. There's the carrot and the stick. The carrot, obviously, if we could take back the House and we could hold the Senate, we might actually be able to get some things done and turn this country around. The stick side, what will America look like if the Republicans take the Senate?
Well, there's a whole lot of other stuff that's going on, which actually gives me great hope, whether we take the Senate or not, Tom. I mean, we have a number of very close gubernatorial campaigns, and could very well have 4 new governors, Democratic, pretty progressive governors, in charge of states. We have a number of state legislatures that we've been working very hard on that can be flipped this year, and the real change is happening in the states. That's where some bad things are going on, but it's also where we're seeing the Medicaid money being taken and the Affordable Care Act being promoted, where we're seeing the possibility of some measure of campaign finance reform or disclosure. A minimum wage, of course. So there's a lot of good things going on. And, the Senate may flip. If it does, we're going to have to support and encourage the president to be strong in vetoing some of the ridiculous legislation that'll come out of a Republican-held Senate. But whether it flips or not, I think you're going to see some good changes coming out of the states, which will eventually bubble up into the rest of the country, the way that Social Security did when FDR started and other great programs.
Yeah. I mean, let us not forget that Harry Truman was president in 1946 when the House and Senate flipped, and they flipped Republican, and they pushed Taft-Hartley through over his veto in 1947. And Taft-Hartley to this day is haunting us. It allows states to become right to work for less states, and eviscerates labor unions. I mean, there's a lot of damage that can be done even when you have a Democratic president if you have a Republican-controlled House and Senate, so that they can actually pass legislation, particularly if they can get stuff past a veto. I mean, this is a real danger, I think.
No, you're correct in that, and this is where the president is going to have to get in touch with his inner Harry Truman, because he will have a sizable number of senators to sustain a veto, no matter what, and certainly we'll have a House that's not going to be. We may have a majority Republican, but even if it does, is not going to rule with a supermajority. So we need the president to stand strong. If he does not get a Democrat-controlled Senate or Democrat-controlled House.
Yeah, I agree. And which means, I mean, no politician can stand strong if the people aren't behind him, if the people are not active, which means that all of us need to go over to democracyforamerica.com and sign up and participate with this great group that you've been. The last time I saw you in person, Jim, as I recall, maybe you've been through our studios or on our show since then, but I remember, was it in Oregon where you were doing a training? How are those going? These kind of workshops on how to get involved in politics?
Well, they've been going quite well. Now, we did a little bit less of the weekend trainings this year and more of the sort of half-day or full-day action trainings for particular candidates and campaigns. I suspect next year we're going to be back more to the weekend trainings, about 20 or 25 of them a year. They're very powerful. They get a lot of good folks together to encourage activism, and that's particularly so in a lot of states like Alabama and Oklahoma, where we've usually gone at least once a year. So there's a lot to like there. There's some very big legislative elections next year in Mississippi, Tennessee, New Jersey, and especially Virginia. So I expect we'll be in those states and others next year.
Yeah. So that's great. You're still doing these things. And so if somebody's thinking about, gee, I think I'd like to get involved. Maybe I will take that tag you're at, and I'm going to go over to democracyforamerica.com and participate. What happens? What should people do? What can people do?
Well, there's certainly a number of tools there about supporting candidates, and I mentioned the DFA dialer that's going on right now with the day left before Election Day. But following that, we're going to have a number of petition tools up, and we also have that training tab where if you're interested in having a training come to your area, you can get a hold of us, and we'll get back to you, and we'll talk about some of the things that we need to do collectively. We pay for these, but we always need a little bit of help on the ground, and we can fill you in on kind of what that help is and how to develop a host committee, and so we can pull off a successful training and wherever anybody may be.
That's great. Are you at all working with people, teaching them how to become precinct committee persons?
Yes, the precinct organizing is part of the training program. In other words, it's part of the curriculum. And in some places, there's a very good precinct organizing model going on right now. The state of Washington is a very good example of that. In others, maybe not so much, so we have to adapt a little bit. But the important thing out there is getting voters organized on an ongoing basis so that it's not just electoral, but it's also about changing in your communities, getting your community to support a higher minimum wage, getting it to ban fracking in states where that may be important. Communities can accomplish a lot. If I recall correctly, there may be still an arrest warrant out for George W. Bush in the town of Brattleboro, Vermont. It was a very powerful message.
That's great stuff. Hang on just a second, Jim.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Jim Dean, the chair of Democracy for America, democracyforamerica.com. Thank you, Jim.
Tom, have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Keep up the great work.